Welcome. I'm Sebastian Mahfood, and you're listening to WCAT Radio, the on-air wing of En Route Books and Media, bringing you the dulcet sounds of Catholic wisdom.
This is an encore presentation of Faith and Sport. Tune in to hear Faith and Sport live Monday afternoons from 2 to 3 right here on Carolina Catholic Radio Charlotte, AM 1270. Well, a good Monday afternoon to you. You're listening to Carolina Catholic Radio, AM 1270 Charlotte. We're also streaming live at carolinacatholicradio.org and also on the Carolina Catholic Radio app. It's Faith and Sport time. I'm producer and co-host of Faith and Sport today, Chris, and I'm joined in the studio, as always, by your host for Faith and Sport, Dr. John Acquaviva, and also special guest host today, our good buddy, Ed Billick.
I know, our studio audience, Ed, gets louder and louder. Folks, thank you. Welcome to the show. However, wherever you're listening, here's what we're going to do today. We have our hit and miss with Ed. We have our weekend headlines. We have two guests today. In the next 50 minutes, after Ed and I do our hit and miss, we got Jason Murphy, the coordinator of this Saturday's men's conference, going to join us.
Outstanding.
Absolutely.
Outstanding.
You're going to be a member of that conference. And guess what, buddy? You and I are going to be on the air between 9 and 11. Chris, you're going to be there, right?
That's
Ed's
right.
going to be there?
On the air there at the
live.
the Catholic Men's Conference.
That's right. St. Matthew in Charlotte.
Valentine area.
Yeah, Valentine area. So we're looking forward to having Jason on. He's going to be here about quarter after the hour. And then after about half of the hour, I don't know, is that the correct way to do the time thing?
Second half.
We're going to have Ben Glass. He's a lawyer, but he's also a high school referee up in the Northern Virginia area. He's going to join us because he's tried to weave in virtue into his sporting world as a referee. So we're going to talk to him about that, how he's doing that, and so forth. We'll have a quick Q&A with Dr. A, and maybe, just maybe, our chairman, president, and the one that we bow to the most, David Papandrea, is going to be joining us. The founder of Carolina Catholic Radio. He may walk through that door at any time and talk about a special show. He may actually sit down with us and grace us with his presence and talk about the men's conference, talk about Carolina Catholic. Yeah, I know, we got tons of stuff. All right, buddy, before we get into it, you ready? This is a way to bring people up to date on what's going on in the sports world. But in one of the ways we're going to do it is I'm going to give you a little quiz. You ready, buddy?
I'm ready.
All right. Tony Romo, the former Dallas Cowboy quarterback, he signed a huge contract with CBS to be the color commentator.
Close to what you're making here.
Exactly. But it's not near as much as Chris makes as the producer. What was his annual salary? Let's hear
it is $17 million.
What the heck? I thought when I saw.
Now, why doesn't he donate all that to a charity?
Well, of course, but brother, when I heard
diocesan support appeal, something like that.
My brother, when I heard that number, I thought it was like his 4 or 5 year contract. You know what I wanted to do before we came on the show? We had so many things going on. You and I were laughing. We're making Chris laugh. I wanted to look up what was his final year with the Cowboys' salary.
I don't know if it was that much.
I doubt it.
So.
He's making, but granted. He's great. In fact, one of the things was, you don't think he's really good?
He talks too much.
No.
Yeah, he tells us what we're going to see and why we're going to see it before we see it.
You want to just see it first and then commentate.
You got to be on radio. He's right. Theater of the mind guy. No, all right. $17 million, though. Okay,
unbelievable.
What else?
Okay. LeBron James had another triple-double, right? What's a triple-double, brother?
You got
double digits.
In assists, in points.
And rebounds. Okay. He has had, this is true, this is a multiple choice, in his career, 57, 87, or 117?
57.
117.
117 triple-doubles.
In his career, yeah. He's had like a couple dozen in the playoffs alone.
Off the boards, assists, and points.
I know, crazy.
And he's getting better. He's playing really at the top of his game right now.
Certainly having Davis on that team. I mean, that's a huge difference from last year. But
no doubt.
Okay, you were way off, by the way. So you're 1 for 2, buddy. But you nailed the Tony Romo thing. All right. The Europe final will be played.
The what final?
The Europe final in soccer will be played in Budapest Stadium. How much did that stadium cost? I'll allow you to be correct if you're within $50 million. Guess how much the stadium costs where the Europe finals can be played in
I
soccer?
have no
Okay, so you have to take...
What did Dallas' stadium? Jerry Jones paid. What did he pay for that thing?
I think it was $18?
Nothing. It was $1 billion. It was the first $1 billion stadium.
Okay, it wasn't that much. You're right if you get within
850,000.
That's not a bad guess. 670.
That's a lot of money for a
I know, that's
stadium.
more money than I make in a month.
Hungary.
I know.
Yes.
How crazy.
Some good questions there.
All right, the biggest story in horse racing this year has been what?
So far?
Yeah.
It's only March.
I know. This year, what's it been, brother? It's almost in the news every week. Just take a guess.
I have no idea.
Horses dying.
Really?
Yeah, this has been a huge thing. Listen to this. So far, there have been 30 horses. Now, let's see what the number is. Since 2008, I'm going to go through this real quick. These are how many horses either training or racing during the race die in professional horse racing. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
38, 33, 34, 30, 59 in 2012, 36, 45, 39, 57 3 years ago, 54, 37 last year, and right now it's at 29.
What is the cause here? What's going on?
I think the coronavirus.
I wouldn't make light of that.
I know I shouldn't do that. That's terrible.
There must be something. There must be something. Maybe too many drugs, too many stimulants,
I'm not sure, but
heart attacks.
But you know what's pretty clear is that horses, their bodies just aren't really meant for additional weight, because think about how, like, they're muscular, big bodies, and they go into these legs, and then eventually their ankles are just this big. Right? They're just tiny as can be.
It's amazing.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Anyway, folks, you're listening to Faith and Sport. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva, being joined here by periodic co-host Ed Billick. This is where we apply our Catholic faith to all aspects of sport. Thank you for joining us today. Let's do this, buddy. Let's do our, what were you going to say?
I'll just say thank you for having me on the show. I like these first Mondays of the month. Two of our favorite saints this month of March.
That's right.
St. Patrick.
That's right.
And St. Joseph.
There you go.
There we go.
And St. Christopher.
That's in
why
October.
Not? No, it doesn't matter. He can still be one of our favorite. He's our producer. Think about how, especially when you're not here, how much fun I have with Chris here. He does the music. He does the little intros. He gets the crowd to cheer for you when he announces your name.
He knows Elvis.
He knows
the
Elvis.
Personal friend of Elvis.
That's right.
Yeah,
and
baby.
Folks, we have promised, Ed and Chris have promised, if there's dead time for whatever reason, like let's say I need to go get a drink of water, Chris and Ed have promised to do a duet, probably from Greece or Oklahoma. Which is fantastic.
Stay tuned for that. That's a tease.
Yeah. All right. In a couple minutes, Jason Murphy is going to join us, and he is the coordinator of the men's conference. That's going to be great.
Yeah. How many years? Question. How many years is the men's conference? I've attended about 4 or 5 of them.
I think it's a fairly new thing in this diocese. I really do.
Quite inspirational. This ought to be a good one coming up.
Absolutely. So he'll join us in a couple minutes. But until then, let's talk about our hit or miss. What's your hit or miss in the world of sport this week?
Let's go to audio. Hit it, Chris. It happened on Saturday, and we got a little audio here that if you guys watched it on Saturday.
Yeah. Did you see it live, by the way?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you did. So this is, yeah.
I mean, I'm walking by the TV, and all of a sudden I saw this, and it goes, whoa.
Whoa.
Well, I don't know if we got it.
Yeah, we got it.
Let's go.
Here we go.
Grayson Murray now at 17.
Grayson Murray.
And these guys have it a little bit easier. Not a ton of pressure on them. They can take
Listen to the
that
crowd.
aim. Just like that. Grayson Murray.
A hole-in-one on that.
If you're going to do it anywhere,
If on any hole, right.
That's the place.
The par 3 17th.
You gotta love it.
And when you love it, he's loving it, because what's happening, Chris, and he's watching the video over there, he's throwing golf balls into the stands. He's pumping his fist like a little kid at Christmas. Then he takes his hat off, and he throws his hat into the stands. But
and
guess
what happened?
The wind blows right down, right in front of him, picks it back up, puts it back on, and he's pumping himself. It was excitement. It was just total excitement. It's why you enjoy sports. That's why you enjoy golf. A hole-in-one on a par 3 in a PGA tournament like that. Grayson Murray, you are my hit.
No, I love
the
that.
week.
No, in fact, the two things that stuck out to me is one is kind of like the overall, view of a hole-in-one in pro golf. But the immediate thing is how much that crowd got into that. Because normally a guy hits a hole-in-one, he'll high-five his caddy. Sometimes the players that he's teeing off with, the other PGA players, they'll high-five him. But the excitement by that time is over. He'll go pick up his ball, people clap. But this time he just milked it. but more than anything, it was because it was genuine excitement on his part.
He reminded me of Cam Newton running around Bank of America Stadium, high-fiving all the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just pure joy. And you hear the announcers, la-di-da, bullshit, but hold wide out. So anyhow, my hit of the week. What was your hit of the week?
My hit of the mine is a hit as well as and a lot of people don't know about this. It's one of the reasons I really like this. Okay, men's and women's basketball in college is underway. In fact, in the next week to 2 weeks, in fact, is when the conference tournaments start, and the winner automatically goes to the big dance, right? The March Madness and so forth. But last week, the team Hartford, a women's basketball team, Hartford, they're part of America East. Stony Brook plays in there. And let's see, some of the other teams that are in that conference.
Connecticut always has good girls basketball.
Yeah.
That whole state of Connecticut.
UMass is in that conference. I think Hofstra, Maine, New Hampshire, and so forth. They won their first game of the year. Yeah. Jada Lucas scored 20 points, and they were the only winless team up till that point when they played Stony Brook last week in Division I. And there's over 300 teams in Division I.
They won their first game.
Yeah, and they're the only team in men or women that had not won a game. And, of course, the reason that's such a surprise is that usually, especially in the beginning of the season, you play lesser opponents to kind of ensure a win. So if you're a really bad Division I team, then you would maybe play Division II teams, right?
Sure.
They couldn't eke out a win, but they beat Stony Brook last week 73-70. Here's the shame of it, though. There's 9 teams in their conferences, and despite winning, Ed, they will not advance because only the top 8 go to their conference tournament. I know Chris is just...
Will they get a participation trophy then?
I have a feeling they won't. But you know what? One of the reasons I brought this up is I have played a lot of sport in my life, right? I played college baseball.
Rugby.
Yeah, I played rugby until I was 40 and so forth. And so... I've had a chance to engage in a lot of competition. I've had a chance to engage in a lot of sport, and I've won a lot, right? I've won some championships, but I've also been on some really bad teams. And here's what I know, and I mean this. When you are on a losing team, and in fact, if you are going through a losing streak, one of the best feelings of your year is when you win a game again. And that's why this is such a hit. Like, this team came together, and I mean this. I bet they felt excited about that win as much as anybody.
I bet there was some divine intervention. Somebody was saying some prayers ahead of time, and the good Lord helped them eke out a win there.
That's right. This is Faith in Sports, so you are obligated to say that.
No, I really believe it, though.
Folks, you're listening to Faith in Sport. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva. That's Ed Billick. Every once in a while, you're going to hear the voice of our producer, Chris Pressler. Thank you, Chris, buddy, for all that you do.
Presley.
Pressler, yeah, that's right.
Pressler,
it's Pressler, but it's so close to Presley, his favorite singer. Yeah, that's
right. Well, thank you very much.
And be sure, folks, to pass this show's idea, the concept, the chatter that we have along to friends. Remember, AM 1270 is one way you can listen. Carolina Catholic Radio Network, the app, and that's one of the ways that you listen. And what do you always say?
I was coming down from West Virginia, visiting my mom up there, and going right through the hills of West Virginia, and listening onto the app, coming through clear as blue.
Every time you tell me about that, you go, it's coming through as clear as day.
Yeah.
Right? So that's fantastic. Or they can listen live through the website, carolinacatholicradio.org. So,
beautiful.
Yeah, perfect stuff. Joining us in a minute is Jason Murphy.
That's right.
Yeah, men's conference. Is he on the line right now?
Not yet.
Okay.
Still waiting for his call.
Perfect. He's going to call in a couple minutes. So you know what I want to do is, I want to talk about the goalie situation. I think this is one of the biggest stories in sport. In fact, the only reason I didn't make it my hit is because so many people, including like NBC Today and not Today, the Today Show on NBC, they're talking about this stuff. But let's do this. Let's bring in our chairman. We mentioned earlier that we might have. Yeah.
Hey, we got a mic over there.
Yeah, so right over here. So, folks, joining us today, as I said, it may happen, is David Papandrea. And he is the chairman, he's the president, he's the founder of Carolina Catholic Radio. All those things. And go ahead and talk into that mic. Let's see what happens, brother.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's right.
I think we got a headset
pneumonia,
there.
so if I have an outburst, I'll just turn me off. Okay?
There you go. Chris, can you hear him? Is he coming in pretty good there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds
good stuff. Very good.
Right.
Go ahead, brother. So, David Papandrea, say hi to everybody here on Faith and Sport.
Hi, everybody with Faith and Sport.
All right, so we've been on the air for 1 year now.
One year.
And you first set out on this journey about 4 years ago, and your wife would...
5 years this men's conference.
Is that right?
5 years.
You know, Ed asked on air just a minute ago, just before you guys walked in, how many years has the men's conference been run here in the diocese? I want to say less than 10. Okay, very good.
This is year 10.
It's right at 10. And this is one of the reasons that we're excited to do this show is that not only you're here for the first time, I think, right? This is the first time you ever joined us in studio.
So.
All right. So that's good news. Second of all, Jason Murphy, the coordinator of the men's conference, is going to join us any minute.
And Jason did years 1 and 2 and maybe year 3.
The coordinator. Yeah, and then he stepped back into it.
He stepped back, and now,
he stepped back, and then he stepped back toward us. Yeah. So we're going to have him on. He's going to talk about that here in a couple of minutes. But tell us about why Carolina Catholic Radio, why Catholic Radio is so important, brother.
Where do I start?
Yeah. Remember, you got about 43 seconds, so maybe we can bring your wife in here, and she would be able to articulate. No, seriously. No, this is a good way to start this conversation.
And I think, when you look at this area, which was really how it all started 5 years ago, the short story is that I went up to EWTN's booth 5 years ago at the men's conference and found out that the only place they did not have a area coordinator for the media missionary program was in the Charlotte and Raleigh diocese. So that was like, oh, great opportunity. Do you need someone? Could I do this job as a volunteer? And they said, yes, you're hired. So that was the first part. Then I started to find out how much of our region had never heard Catholic radio.
Yeah.
Never knew who Mother Angelica was.
That's right.
So we had a monstrous adaptation, introduction to Catholic radio here. And the biggest thing that we have uncovered and that we constantly bring to light is that just like any network, you're really only as good as your local affiliate.
That's right.
And just think about that with TV especially. So we have a chance, yes, EWTN is on nationwide.
That's right.
But we bring it to you local. And we just keep, like with this program, this was our first venture into local programming. So we have a vision that will be all local all weekend long, hopefully by this summer.
Yep.
With many, many types of ministries being showcased. And we have a number of them on the website.
Very good.
And I just encourage people, if they haven't had a chance yet, go to the website, see the things. We are very transparent. We put everything out there, and you get an idea of what the thought process is. You can get in touch with us in a number of ways. And one of the big things we're going to do with the men's conference this weekend is we're going to showcase the app like never before.
There you go.
My wife will attest to it. She proofread it. I did a grid. I did a directory
of
everything that's on the app.
Nice.
So that people can look at it on one sheet of paper and say, oh my gosh, all this is here.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, David, I just want to say compliments to you. Your passion, your energy, your no kind of approach. You just keep pounding away and making this a reality, and it's growing stronger. So
I'm just
from the Catholic community, from the city of Charlotte, thank you for all the work you've done here.
You're very welcome, and the best is yet to come.
That's what I say. In fact, Ed was shooting just before you guys came in, just before we went on air. Ed was like, I have an idea for some other local shows. He wants to do being a Catholic pet owner, so he just wants to talk about his dog, his cat, his pet. He's got pet rabbits, so he wants to talk about what's that like to be a Catholic and be a pet owner. That was one of the things. And also, him and his wife, Jackie, they want to do a cooking show. Like Cooking with Christ, he said, could be the name.
You've been having some dreams, haven't you, on future?
Well, don't laugh, but I was confronted with how do we do the Latin Mass on the radio.
That's right.
I just had the conversation. And I was Mike Fitzgerald and I were talking, and he said, David, there's a lot of silence. And I said,
that's right. That's not good for radio.
I got it. So this could work for you in the cooking show. Is that with this, we're going to bring on the YouTube channel, and we're going to be streaming these events.
He's a visionary.
So Latin Mass can be on the
Holy
YouTube channel,
Spirit
and we can have the cooking show.
Us.
From Latin Mass to cooking.
I have an idea.
We've got it all Catholic cooking.
I have an idea. So Ed starts the cooking show, and let's say he's going, okay, here's how to make biscuits, right? And he could be whispering like he's at a golf tournament. And every time then we could start the Latin Mass, right?
Yeah.
And every time there's a break, Ed goes, okay, get a cup of water. add add a half a cup. Okay, no, the priest is going to stand up, so let's take a break. And so it goes back to the Latin Mass. When there's a break, Ed goes, okay, get a pinch of salt and add that. Right, Ed, come on.
So we would basically be at the same level of the same tone between the two programs.
Why not? Right. Talk about killing two birds with one stone, brother. We can do this.
The Carolina Conference coming up, the men's conference coming up this weekend. I'm excited.
Number 10.
And we'll talk to is it
Jason Murphy.
Yeah. They rotate parishes. That's another thing I like. So you don't have to travel too far, and it's at the largest parish in the diocese here at St. Matt's this Saturday.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In the country.
What are you talking about? Yeah, very good. Folks, you're listening to Faith and Sport. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva. We're joined in studio by periodic co-host Ed Billick. And joining us for the last couple of minutes is David Papandrea. He's the founder, he's the chairman, and he's the president, and I think we can say he's the know-it-all about Carolina Catholic Radio. So I just gave you 4 titles.
He knows it all.
Brother, we're going to be back on the air this Saturday for a special Faith and Sport.
Yes,
and so we'll see you then.
Do we know what time we're going to do it?
Yeah, we're going to do it between 9 and 11. So I confirmed that with you. Okay. Yeah, in fact, when I texted him yesterday, he goes, what time are we doing this? I go, time between 9 and 11. He goes, well, that's news to me, but that sounds good.
Hey,
so this is coming together.
Babysitter, so yeah.
Listen, let's get to Jason.
Yes.
Brother, thank you for coming down.
Absolutely.
What? Can you sit there for a while? Do you guys got to get going?
I can sit for a few minutes.
Okay, yeah. Very good. So we'll talk to Jason.
When Barbara gives you the sign, then I've got.
Okay, yeah, it's right. It's primarily up to her. So very good. Ed, the look on Ed's faces. The Catholic Mass, the Latin Mass, and the cooking show is not a bad idea. You can see it's on his face right now. All right, Chris.
I can see the excitement.
Now we need the sponsor.
I hope Jason Murphy has heard this whole conversation. He's going to go, what have I gotten myself into here? So he's on the line right now, brother. Jason Murphy, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Jason, did you hear the last 5 minutes of this conversation?
Yeah, I was enjoying myself. I kind of hope we just keep that going for a while. That was getting quite creative.
Oh, very good. Hey, so, buddy, listen. Okay, so was David correct? This has been going on. Is this the 10th year or would this be the 11th year? What number exactly are we going on the men's conference here in the diocese?
This is our actual 10-year anniversary.
Awesome.
We started cooking it in 2010 in preparation, and then we actually had the first conference 2011 at Charlotte Catholic High School. So this is our 10-year anniversary.
Well, good. Yep. And you've stepped away and you stepped back. In other words, you were the coordinator for the first couple of years, and then you let somebody else take over, and you realized that it started. You go, you know what? They need me to make this really good. No, I'm teasing for those other folks.
I worked with Dan Zerpini. He and I and several other knights from Council 770, where it kind of all got started. We worked on that first couple years, and then life for me took off. When the first conference took place, I had one child, and now we've got 5. So
awesome.
Life takes off and takes you different directions, and so I'd kind of gotten away from the last few years. And Sergio Miranda, who works for the Knights, one of our pastoral Knights at 770 as well, reached out to me last fall and just kind of said, hey, we're looking to get this thing pumped back up. Might have lost a little luster over the last few years, and would you be interested in jumping back in? And I didn't even hesitate. I jumped right in and I said, absolutely. I felt called to, be a part of it again. I've felt like there's been a little bit of a missing piece there. I felt, I've been called, to help bring men to Christ. I've got a long and checkered past, and I've shared some of that with some of the guys that I've brought along with me, and being back a part of that and being able to make an impact, it's amazing. Some of the guys that are gonna be there, they're gonna make confessions after many years. We're gonna have some big fish come Saturday. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Folks, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Faith and Sport here on Carolina Catholic Radio. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva. We're joined in studio. We have as much energy as we've ever had in this studio. Co-host Ed Billick joins us periodically once every month, and we have the founder and president of Carolina Catholic Radio, David Papandrea. And on the line with us is Jason Murphy, the coordinator of the men's conference. It's going to be this Saturday at St. Matt's. This will be the 10th one.
Number 10.
Yeah, number 10. And Jason, for those folks that are listening, especially the men who are listening, or the wives who are listening, and when their husband comes home, they can go, honey, I got something for you to do on Saturday. If they decide to come, Jason, what could they expect from this day at the men's conference at St. Matthew Catholic Church in Charlotte?
So this is going to be a day of fellowship, prayer, brotherhood, this is as real as it gets. These are guys all struggling the same struggles and fighting the same fights. This is re-energized, come together as a brotherhood, and here's some great speakers. We've got Father Larry Richards coming. He's just dynamic, out of Erie, Pennsylvania. He was there for our first men's conference as well. He's just super dynamic, inspiring. He's a man's man. He's going to meet guys right where they are.
Yep.
The feedback we got the first year, of the men was just amazing. Guys, wanting. There was a huge line for Father Larry, to get in his confessional line. I mean, he just has that presence. Guys see him as he's so approachable. So Father Larry Richards will be there. We've got the Vicar General, Father Patrick Winslow. Obviously Charlotte.
Yep.
He's going to be there. He's going to be our celebrant for the Mass. There'll be confessions all day long.
Awesome.
So, I mean, if you screw up in the morning, you got a shot in the afternoon there if you need it. We got him there. Make that confession. We've got Dr. Bill Therfelder.
Yep.
He'll be our master of ceremonies,
Yep.
and we're just super excited about that. That was kind of like the crown jewel of the
That's
day.
right.
We were kind of scrounging around at the end, trying to figure how that was going to operate, and knowing that he's going to be there, and a little secret, he's going to be one of our keynotes next year. So this will be a nice intro.
Awesome.
Dr. Bill is amazing for what he's done at Belmont Abbey,
right.
and his involvement in the Catholic community. So super excited to have him lead us off there. We've got a parishioner, Kevin Frederick of St. Patrick's, who's not just a parishioner, he's also the federal director of TSA. So we'll be well protected. 30 years of military experience, kind of sharing his story of military involvement and maintaining his Catholic faith. And then finally, we've got Dennis Gillen, mental hope speaker. This will be an incredible story here. Dennis lost two brothers to suicide,
Wow.
and he's going to be speaking about the epidemic in the United States. I mean, 78% of guys, suicides are committed by men, and over 48,000 deaths each year in the United States. So it's a little off the beaten path of what we've done before, but this just I feel is going to tie some very important components in for this conference. Mind, body, and soul.
Absolutely. Well, listen, brother, we're going to see you this Saturday. We're going to be doing the show live, Faith and Sport, from this venue. I know you got a lot of stuff going on, but having already set this aside or talked about it earlier before we went on air, you'll join us again on air, and we'll recruit some people down there. And what time does it start? What time could...
So we're going to kick off registration 7:30 to about 8:15, and then opening prayer and remarks at 8:15 to 8:30, and we'll wrap up about 3 o'clock. So we'll have mass, we'll have rosary, adoration, confessions all day, dynamic speakers. Lunch will be provided.
Awesome.
And if you guys want to toss out there, promo code FIRE. Maybe we'll light some fire up on you. The Holy Spirit's going to bring that fire. So if you want to get that fire, go on and use that promo code on our website. And that's www.catholicmenofthecarolinas.org. Catholic Men's Conference of the Carolinas.org.
Okay, say that again. www.Catholic Conference?
Catholic Men's Conference
Got it.
of the Carolinas.
Got it.
.org.
And Jason, if somebody got inspired that morning, like say somebody calls them Friday night and says, "Hey, dude, come down there with me," could they come first thing on Saturday morning and enroll in this conference?
Yeah, we'll take them whenever they come, and
Awesome.
we'd be glad to discount that rate depending on when they get there. Just get there. It's going to be an important day.
Very good.
So, yep.
Jason, thank you for saying yes to this role. Thank you for stepping up. We really appreciate that, and I know the men of this conference appreciate it. And let me say this to the men out there, or to the wives I'm talking to about they can share this with the men out there. You're not going to be alone. There's going to be anywhere between 250 and maybe even up to 350 men there. It's going to be energized. It's going to be spiritually fulfilling, and I think this is going to be one of the ways that you really show your family, you really show our Lord what you mean, or what our faith means to us. David.
Jason, what's that? Got to have to update the guys. What's the current count on registration?
Okay, as of about 30 seconds ago, because I'm checking it about
figured.
every 30 seconds, we were watching these numbers rise. We're at 341 right now.
That many?
We're going to be every
400.
400.
Bring it on.
It's going to be
beautiful.
great. Yeah,
I like it.
it's really getting up there.
No, Jason, I'll just say this, and I say this anytime we have an opportunity to attend one of these events. You got to ask yourself, if not now, when?
That's right.
Exactly.
Because life is so short and things can happen. If not now, when? And to come away being inspired like this opportunity to receive the sacrament of reconciliation,
that's right.
It's a beautiful mix. So hopefully...
In today's culture...
Yeah.
What you're dealing with, how can you go it? You can't go it alone. You've got to be fortified. You got to be fed.
Absolutely.
And we reinforce it with each other throughout the year.
All you guys should be on the radio.
Sharpen irons, yeah.
Beautiful.
I appreciate it. Jason Murphy, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on Saturday.
All right, thanks, guys. Hope to see you there.
Take care, brother. Very good. Yeah, we're going to go to break here in a minute. In fact, after the break, we have Ben Glass. He's a lawyer up in Fairfax, Virginia. But, folks, you got to hear why I'm talking to him. Like, what does a lawyer up in Northern Virginia have to do with faith and sport, where we merge sport and virtue? You'll hear that right after this break. So, Chris, let's go to break right now. We can, and, folks, you have a lot more after this break. We're going to talk to Ben Glass. We have more from David Papandrea. We have more from Ed. We're going to do the quick Q&A with Dr. A, where there's more to talk about here on Faith and Sport, where we apply our Catholic faith to all aspects of sport. So whether you're a coach, a referee, a parent of an athlete themselves, or an administrator, this show is for you. Make sure you pass this show on to friends. Carolina Catholic Radio Network, that's the app. CarolinaCatholicRadio.org, that's the website. AM 1270. Pass this show on. Pass it on that the men's conference is this Saturday at St. Matthew in Charlotte. Chris, let's hand it over to you. And right after the break, we'll come back with Ben Glass, lawyer from Northern Virginia.
Okay, and we also want to pass on to you before we go to break that you can catch Faith and Sport all throughout the week on Carolina Catholic Radio. You can hear an encore presentation of Faith and Sport each day of the week here on Carolina Catholic Radio. Just check out our website at CarolinaCatholicRadio.org or the Carolina Catholic Radio app, and check out the EWTN Carolina Catholic Radio Network program guide, and you can see all the encore presentation times that you can hear an encore presentation of Faith and Sport throughout the week here on Carolina Catholic Radio. And we've got more Faith and Sport live coming up right after this break. Don't go away.
AM 1270 Catholic Radio Charlotte is a 100% listener-supported 501c3 nonprofit. Please donate, volunteer, and pray for us.
Hey, what's going on, Charlotte? This is Al with Heart is Nails Ministries in Charlotte on the Carolina Catholic Radio Network, here to tell you that you're amazing. Heart is Nails has been active in Charlotte now for the past few weeks, evangelizing in a number of churches and schools. Just like Christ the King, I gave a student one of our Bibles, and he later came up to me saying, hey man, I'm not sure if you realized it, but what you did for me last week, that changed my life. What this student received, we also want you to receive, and you and your family can, at the one and only Amazing Evangelization Family Conference with Justin Fatika, Heart is Nails Ministries, and special guests. This will take place Sunday, March 15th from 10:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. St. Mark Catholic Church. Come join Heart is Nails Ministries for a one-of-a-kind day of formation in evangelization techniques. This conference will give you the insights and confidence you need to share the gospel with conviction. This is a day for everyone, grade school all the way to adults. The Amazing Evangelization Family Conference includes talks, prayer, activity, lunch, and a lot of fun. Again, this is Al with Heart is Nails Ministries in Charlotte on the Carolina Catholic Radio Network to remind you you're amazing, and see you there.
Have you ever been to heaven? Well, consider this your personal invitation to join me, Kristen Tomei, this September 15th through 24th as I lead my 3rd annual small pilgrimage group to the place that is called Where Heaven Touches Earth, Medjugorje. In Medjugorje, we will be hosted by visionary Mirjana Soldo and Mickey Musa, our local guide. Price begins at $2,394 and includes international flight, ground transfers, lodging, 2 meals per day, local guide, full spiritual and recreational program, optional excursions, and a day trip to beautiful Dubrovnik, Croatia, nestled on the Adriatic coast. Registration is limited and ends very soon, so don't delay. Contact me at 832-381-0861. Again, that's 832-381-0861. Check us out on Facebook at Medjugorje Americans. Again, that's Medjugorje Americans. Be blessed and hope you can join us in Medjugorje this September.
And we are back here on Faith and Sport on Carolina Catholic Radio Charlotte, AM 1270. We're also streaming live at CarolinaCatholicRadioNetwork.org and the Carolina Catholic Radio app. I'm Chris, your producer and co-host for today's show here on Faith and Sport, and I'm joined live in the studio with your host for Faith and Sport each week, Dr. John Acquaviva, and our special guest host today, the one, the only Ed Billick.
So you wanted to mention a couple things, like one of the ads that, when we were coming back from the break was that they're talking about the Latin Mass that's offered
over at
St. Anne's.
Yeah.
Do you remember being an altar boy for that when you were a kid?
Absolutely. And it was so funny because we learned all the prayers in Latin, like a lot of the young men at that time.
Right.
And my brother, he struggled learning all the prayers, right before the Confiteor Deo, Onipotente, Barata Maria, Semper Virgine, all that kind of stuff. And guess what? 2 months after he learned it, they switched to English. So he said, I learned all that. I never used it.
How dare them switch to a language he actually understood?
Nos vobiscum.
I tell you, I was never so nervous. When I was a young altar boy, my first year being an altar boy, I was 5th grade, so I'm 10 years old. But I didn't, I was always confused about, okay, the priest goes, okay, when I signal you, you do this. When I signal you, you do that. Of course, when he would signal me, I go, which one do I do, this or that? So I was really confused. And the first time I did Latin Mass, I was probably sweating out profusely.
Oh, yeah.
Because
you're up on stage.
Oh, you're up on stage.
And
oh,
mom's watching, family's watching.
And, of course, as a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, you think everybody's watching you. Of course, nobody's watching you, right?
There's a good friend of mine at St. Matt's. I won't mention his name, but during a Good Friday service, it caught his cassock and his surplice on fire.
Is that true?
They had to roll him in the rug.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Were you there or you just heard about this?
No. Well, I was there. He's told the story, so I'll have you meet him on Saturday at the men's conference.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to hear about that.
Bill.
Folks, joining us here in 1 minute is Ben Glass. He's from, he's out of benglasslaw.com. So if you want to check out, in fact, if you're in Northern Virginia listening to us on the app or the website and you need a lawyer, I think you're going to find out this guy's a good guy. But what's he have to do with faith and sport? And I heard about what he has been doing over the last couple months, and I asked him to be on the show, and he's graciously given some of his time. So he's going to join us in 1 minute. If you're listening today, you've heard a couple things. The main thing is we were joined by Jason Murphy. He is the coordinator for the men's conference. So, folks, we're going to keep talking about that till the end of the show. Please join us this Saturday. Faith and Sport will be there live for a special show between 9 and 11. But there is over 340 people signed up. They're shooting for 400 this Saturday at St. Matthew Catholic in Ballantyne. This is an energized program. Father Larry Richards is going to be there. The MC is going to be Dr. Thierfelder. If you don't even know this guy.
Yeah, who is he?
He is the president of Belmont Abbey College in Belmont. But as big as anything, he is a friend of the show, and he's a friend of this whole concept in that he was a track star at University of Maryland, and he qualified for Olympic trials. That's how good he was.
I never knew
that. So he speaks the same language that we do. He's going to be the MC for it. So really deeply consider this. Put this to prayer. Ask your wife. Try to clear that schedule and join us this Saturday.
And even if you come for part of it, they'll be reduced to mission or whatever. If you can show up for the last half, can't be there for the first half, please do it. And I'll tell you, we've done Christ Renews His Parish, and I've seen men not go to the Sacrament of Reconciliation 25, 30 years.
Right.
Here with 340 guys attending confession, you're not gonna, don't worry about it. It's a welcoming time to confess your sins and do all that good stuff.
I like that. It's a good promo for this Saturday. And then also we were joined by David Papandrea. So in fact, you might recognize his voice because he's got a great radio voice like you do, Ed. But also, and mainly, he was talking about as the founder, as the president, as the chairman of Carolina Catholic Radio. He was just talking about what this means to us. And one of the things that we encourage you, Chris encourages every week, is go to carolinacatholicradio.org and then hit the program schedule, and you'll see that not only are we offered every day of the week, you could hear a replay of the show, but you can even hear us tonight at 10 o'clock, and it's different days, and it's at different times, so please join us. But we love when you join us live like you are right now. But, of course, when people hear us during the week, they're like, this sounds like it's live to me. So let's go to our second guest of the day. He is Ben Glass. He is an attorney up in Northern Virginia. Ben Glass, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. You guys are high energy. I love this. I love listening to you.
You ought to see us dancing when we come back from a break. We're playing that the music there.
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm a dance DJ.
Ben, I've kind of teased the audience, and I've said, what is an attorney from Northern Virginia doing on Faith and Sport here on Carolina Catholic Radio? But I'll just let the cat out of the bag at this point. I'm always searching for stories in which people are trying to bring virtue, trying to up the sportsmanship aspect, the character building, that can take place through sport. And I think you do something unique. So why don't you just tell the folks, you started a program through your refereeing of high school, both men's and women's teams, correct, Ben?
Exactly. So I grew up playing soccer, got to play at William & Mary.
Awesome.
Most of my life is wrapped up in soccer, and I've actually been refereeing for like over 46 years. I started when I was 16. I just had my 62nd birthday.
Awesome.
And I still referee high school boys and girls soccer, and and my son was playing a couple years ago. He's graduated now, and I was sitting in the stands. I go, man, it's like sitting in the stands. It was so toxic, right? There was so many games. One or two dads usually would start into it, and then the crowd is and they're being they're yelling at referees, and coaches in some instances are yelling at referees. And I'm like, what could we do? What could we do to try to effect a change? So we started what we call the Varsity Soccer Sportsmanship Challenge here in Northern Virginia, where if boys and girls teams get through the season without a yellow card for dissent, for yelling at the referee, or a red card for foul and abusive language or fighting, we'll give the teams $500. Now, that's a tough thing to do, to get through a whole season. But here, let me give you a stat I just learned a week ago at a referee meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing the program for 2 years.
Yep.
There's a 25% reduction in ejections in Northern Virginia high school soccer. Now, I think we're having an impact.
Absolutely. And as much as anything, it shows that money does motivate. Now, Ben, let me ask you, okay, you're a lawyer. Everybody thinks the same thing about lawyers and doctors. They have all this disposable money. But is this something that Ben Glass Law puts forward, or do you get donations from outside organizations? Where does this money come from to create this $500 per team incentive?
Exactly. Great question. This is all our money.
Awesome.
It would be awesome to have some other larger corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
But I was the guy in the stands who's telling these parents to be quiet, to behave, and they didn't actually like me doing that. So I said, all right, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Obviously, it's a win-win because more people learn about Ben Glass Law. I've got a great team of youngins here who help promote the program. The cool thing is, at the end of the year, I get in front of sports banquets, and parents love this stuff. And so we have a big check, right, big poster check that we give. But most importantly, money motivates, yes. But I think what we're doing is we're encouraging a conversation that starts at the level of the principal and the athletic directors of the schools, because they're well aware of this too, and it teeters down, goes down to the coaches. And so I believe, and I think we're starting to prove that if we will simply have a conversation about sports is it's a short little blip, right?
Yep.
Your high school sports life is, and that. Referees are human, and everybody's making mistakes, and everybody's learning something. If we simply start a conversation, we can affect change. And no one else has done this. Now, a couple lawyers now have with my permission, have copied it with other sports in other parts of the country. Awesome. And so we have a little bit of a fire going, which is awesome.
Absolutely. Folks, you're listening to Carolina Catholic Radio. This is Faith in Sport, where we merge sport and virtue. We're talking with Ben Glass from Ben Glass Law. He's a lawyer up in Northern Virginia. But the reason he's on this show is because, as you've just heard, he started what's called the Varsity Soccer Sportsmanship Challenge, in which they offer, if at the end of the year, the team goes without. Now, clarify this, Ben.
Yep.
If you get a yellow card, I thought the whole thing was if you don't get any red cards. So clarify that again. Who's eligible for this challenge to be a winner?
Sure. For those maybe not familiar with soccer, you can get yellow cards for lots of different reasons.
Yep.
But one of the reasons is yelling at a referee. And so that's the one we're focused on.
Got it.
Do not get in trouble for yelling at a referee. You can get red cards for a number of different reasons, but we're focused on the sportsmanship one.
Got it.
The fighting and using, foul language. And so we're hoping to start a conversation and eliminate those aspects, because those are totally in your control, right? Referee makes a call you don't like about, you can control your response.
That's right.
And what I observe when I'm on the field is you can tell the coaches that have good control of the kids and good control of the parents, because that coach is modeling good behavior. And that means, hey, we just move on, right? referee does something you don't like, you just move on.
That's right. This is awesome that you've done this. And tell me this. What's your thought of offsides? This is, for those who don't know, I mentioned this a couple months ago in talking to another. In fact, he's a certified, ironically, Ben, he's a certified soccer coach up in the Northern Virginia area. And I asked him what was his thought of this website. And it was started by a youth soccer referee trying to basically shame people into improved behavior during youth sporting events. And so what he's done through this website is, in fact, through this Facebook site, is he's asked people to randomly send in video of people misbehaving. And the whole point is to shame people into better behavior. Good, bad, or indifferent, Ben? What's your thought on this website?
I like it, and I have submitted videos. And here's the point, is that he's John Bartow, I think his name is, Barclow. He's starting a conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And this is what we want. So he's also a marketer, and he's produced signs and stuff. We just want, it's just strange. Adults, who treat each other civilly, 99% of their daily life go into a sports field, baseball field, soccer, whatever it is, and they seem to lose their filter.
That's right.
And guys like John and I are just trying to provoke a conversation, because what's happening? There is a referee and umpire and sports official shortage, and it's getting bigger and bigger every year.
That's right.
I'm 62. I go to our meetings. There's a lot of guys and gals older than I am at the meetings, and that's not good for the overall health of youth and high school sports.
No, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I'm sure you guys do, is try to recruit those young people, because we need it for a lot of reasons, right? Mainly for the the continuance of the sport. Ben, let me leave you with this question. What's your thought on leagues throughout the country? And I think this primarily has happened in Little League baseball leagues. People, and nobody gets more berated and more frustrated, or, I think here's more frustration from the crowd, I should say, than umpires in baseball, because there's so many decisions they make literally about every 10 to 15 seconds because of the pitches, right?
Right.
What's your thought on those leagues who make it mandatory, for instance, to umpire one game per season? And of course, the point is, okay, you've all these years you've been yelling at the umpires. Now you're going to do it yourself, and of course, it does two things, right? Puts them in the place so they can feel more empathetic, but the other thing is so they can truly experience what those guys are going through. What's your thought on this?
Well, I think it's great. So when I was 16 and started refereeing, it gave me a whole different perspective and made me a better player. And so, particularly if we can get that teenager who maybe has graduated from, U12 Little League to get involved in doing that, that makes that person a better player. And absolutely, parents, look, it's a way to get involved. You have a choice. You can go and you can open up your lawn chair and you can sit there, right? You can be quiet, you can cheer, or you can, yell at the umpire, or you can do something. It's actually, I find it very interesting. My friends, of course, who I run around with, find the whole sports officiating world interesting. I do it because it presents both a psychological and a physical challenge, so it gives me something to work towards. We're getting ready for the spring high school soccer season here, so I'm training, I'm focusing. But I think these are good ideas, and again, the thing is, we can't keep these young folks past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And if we don't fix that, you're not going to have a choice. You're going to have to umpire your child's game. There will be no choice.
I know. Think about it, a couple of years from now, Ben, there's going to be like the virtual, not only virtual soccer games, but somebody's going to be able to referee from their living room. They'll go, okay, I'll do it, but I got to do it while I'm watching, NCIS or something.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. Sure, the technology of sports officiating, but that's for the big teams with lots of money, pro teams and college teams. But if we're going to look, here's the other thing: is that youth players, they don't like it when mom and dad are yelling at the officials.
That's right.
They will tell us.
That's right.
Could you make them stop, please?
Please.
And so they just want to have fun. Like you guys, I mean, you sound like you're about my age. When we were little, we just went out and played.
Just played.
Right?
Yep.
We may have been on an organized team, but we did, 5 times as much just playing as we did in a uniform. It's kind of flipped now, I think. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, tremendous.
But, again, we're trying to start a conversation and just to raise a level of alertness, self-appreciation. Yeah.
You've done a great job on that. In fact, I'll leave with this note. When I was looking at your website, one of the best things I saw all week, and this goes back like a month and a half, 2 months ago when I originally got in contact with you, was I saw the picture of you with those teams. Like I think in particular it was West Springfield High School, and you were giving this check, presenting this check to the girls soccer team. And the joy on those girls' faces for that picture was memorable, and it just shows that you're making a difference. So let me say this. Let me leave you with this point of gratitude. Thank you for saying yes to being a referee, first of all, Ben Glass, and thank you for your efforts to make sports better. We appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on the show. And, buddy, keep up the good work, and we hope in a couple months we're going to remind everybody else about this, that you'll come back on the show and have another discussion.
We'll have an end-of-the-year roundup.
There you go, buddy. Hey, thank you. Good luck in this soccer season, and we'll talk soon.
It'll be fun. Thanks, guys.
Very good. Well, there you go, folks. Ben Glass, you can check his law firm out at benglasslaw.com. And, of course, he's trying to make a change. What's your thought as he was talking?
You could hear it in his voice, his passion for this kind of stuff. Okay, his experience.
That's right.
And he puts his money where his mouth is.
That's right. That's what a tremendous thing. You should see some of the pictures of the joy on these girls' and guys' faces when they're getting this check, because it's more than just the money. If you think about it, how far would $500 go toward a soccer team? It's going to do something, but it's not really going to be all that much. It's kind of like, given, like my kid's 9 years old, 8 years old, 7 years old, you give them $1, they act like you just given them $1 million. Right. The point is they're very grateful for getting something. And that's the look on those girls' and boys' faces. So, folks, if you're just joining us, it's late in the game, pun intended. This is Faith and Sport here on Carolina Catholic Radio. Ed Billick's in the studio. He joins us the first Monday of every month. I'm Dr. John Acquaviva. Thank you for joining us today. And this is Faith and Sport, where we merge sport and virtue. Brother, go ahead.
And if you want to meet John personally, come out to the Men's Catholic Conference this Saturday at St. Matthew Parish there in Ballantyne. And I'll be joining John. We'll be somewhere close to the sanctuary, but you'll be able to hear us, if not, and introduce yourself to the Dr. A.
That's right, and even better, you'll have a chance to meet me.
Well, I was going to say, and Chris will have his Brill cream on as he does today, and his Elvis impersonation. But no, come out and visit with us, and give us some feedback. Give John some feedback on this wonderful ministry that he does every Monday here at Carolina Catholic Radio.
Very good. And, I want to direct people. In fact, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait, another couple minutes, maybe after we do the quick Q&A with Dr. A. But I'm going to give out the website so you can check it out. You can register through that. And remember, as Jason Murphy said earlier, the coordinator of the men's conference, you can actually come this Saturday morning, anytime between 7:30 and 8:15. That's the registration time. And you just sign up right then. I'm telling you, it's going to be the best thing you do all month.
Bring a couple guys from your men's group if you have one, or a couple guys
your
in the
poker
neighborhood.
Group, your golf group, whatever.
Your golf buddies. Hit the tees later in the afternoon. Come out and spend a little time with the Lord.
Is Chris laughing with us or at us right now, Ed?
He knows we're excited about
That's right. He knows we're excited. I love it. We're getting all these comments about the energy of the show, so I appreciate you, buddy. I appreciate you, Chris. It's one of the best parts of my week for sure, is Mondays at 2 o'clock. Man, this is great.
It's the highlight of my week.
I appreciate that. So let me give that email or that web address right now.
Yep. Go do it.
And then I'll do it again in the next couple minutes before we wrap up the show. It's www.catholicmenofcarolinas.org. And you'll take you right to the Catholic Men's Conference, and you can see photos from previous conferences, and you can see all the information you need to know about this Saturday. And again, we're going to be live from 9 to 11 there. So if nothing else, drop by. When you walk by the table, just say hi. You're going to see a sign that says Carolina Catholic Radio. Ed will be there. Chris will be there. The aforementioned and the A4 voice, I don't know if that's correct, is our president and chairman, David Papandrea. I think you just laughed at me again, brother. But he was on the show earlier, so we're really excited about that. We got a few minutes left. Let's do a couple questions, at least get to one with our quick Q&A with Dr. A.
Strange in these times as this question may come across, but let me frame it up for you, and you can take it from there, and I have a few thoughts. The state of Alabama and 5 other states are creating bills in their legislatures that will force athletes to compete under their gender assigned at birth. Are you surprised at this?
Not surprised at all. As Chris may remember, and you might have been even listening to the show, we tackled this in the first few minutes. In fact, it was Carlos's hit a couple weeks ago, in which it came to light that a gal who finished third in last year's 55-meter dash in Connecticut, the reason she finished third was two girls who were boys the year before were competing as girls, and it forced her to finish third. And she sued the state of Connecticut because they had no such rule. And so I think, and this is a question for you. Is this good or bad ultimately that it takes a lawsuit from another state for people to bring forth this bill? But ultimately, I would like to think and say that Alabama and these other 5 states that are considering this bill are doing it because it's the just thing to do.
Well, if you're going to have, I don't care how you identify, but you have boys on a girls' team, then it's a co-ed team.
That's right.
Then call it what it is and don't compete with other girls or other boys' teams. Compete with co-ed teams. And then I don't care what you decide you are. That's called co-ed to me.
That's right. I'm not the only physiologist to say this. And if you ask me, and I mean this, although I happen to be an exercise physiologist, I really believe the only people that can speak on this professionally and have the best insight and experience are exercise physiologists. We know the differences. We have a book called Physiology of Sport and Exercise that I use for the class Exercise Physiology.
Wow.
And one full chapter, around 30 pages, devoted between the sex differences as it relates to sport. It's a 30-page chapter. So it's not just a couple pages. And to put this in perspective, I asked a colleague of mine at another nearby university. She is a PhD. She's an exercise physiologist. And I asked her, would you come on the program to discuss this very topic? And she was unsure. And one of the things she said is, well, I want to be fair. But if she really wants to be fair, Ed, if anybody else really wants to be fair, let's be fair to the people like this girl from Connecticut who finished third. There's a handful of people that are transgendered girls, which means they used to be boys, right? But the point is that there's a couple of them. There are thousands of other athletes. That's who it's unfair to. If you really want to be fair, why don't you be fair to the masses?
This is where the lawsuits, in a legal world we're in, really make a lot of sense. Thanks for the good question. You get a little inspired by that, I can tell. We have so many other questions, but I like the rest of it. Come out and visit us on Saturday.
That's right.
If you want some sidebar conversations, we can break away and talk a little faith and talk a little sport together.
Absolutely. So, folks, you've been listening to Faith and Sport here on Carolina Catholic Radio. Let me give you guys an update or just some other information, actually, that was mentioned by Jason Murphy. He joined us earlier in the first 20 minutes of the show. He's the coordinator of the men's conference. And I just want to emphasize the energy that's going to be at this year's men's conference. It's going to take place at St. Matthew Catholic. It's going to start at 8:30. The MC is Dr. Bill Thierfelder. Wow. He's the president of Belmont Abbey College. Faithful guy, great athlete. He's a big fan of this show, and a big thing in his life is sport and virtue. Father Larry Richards, who is a guy's guy, a guy's priest, is going to be talking. Father Patrick Winslow. There's going to be mass held sometime during that 8-hour conference. The other thing is, I think all day, Jason said, priest is going to be able to hear your confession.
Yeah, you can attend the sacrament, reconciliation.
In fact, I remember, I think the last time last year, remember we were at the men's conference? I'm pretty sure I went to, in fact, I know I did. I went to a confession that day. It's just one of the most wonderful.
Hurts.
Yeah.
Get that blessing for sure.
It's one of the most wonderful things. Okay, before I hand it over to Chris here and we say goodbye for the day, I want to say thank you to Jason Murphy, the coordinator of the men's conference. I want to say thank you to Ben Glass from Ben Glass Law. Yep, and David Papandrea for stopping by here today. He joined us live in studio just to talk about what Catholic radio means to him and it means to our listeners. And to you, Ed, for joining us each and every first Monday.
Thanks for having me.
This is fantastic.
As we kick off the month of March.
Yes.
We help the month of March to march right in.
And hang in there, folks. There's only another 5.5 weeks left of Lent. It's going by like that. So please join us next time here on Carolina Catholic Radio for more Faith and Sport. Here's Chris.
That's right. We want to thank you for tuning in for Faith and Sport this afternoon on Carolina Catholic Radio, AM 1270 Charlotte. We're also streaming live at carolinacatholicradio.org and on the Carolina Catholic Radio app. Make sure, if you missed any of today's show, to catch us on one of our encore presentation times on the Carolina Catholic Radio Network. Just go to carolinacatholicradio.org, and on the program guide tab, you'll see all of our encore presentation times throughout the week when you can catch an encore presentation of Faith and Sport. And we'll be seeing you at St. Matthew's Catholic Church this Saturday for the men's conference. We'll be out there broadcasting live from 9 to 11, so hope to see you there. And we'll meet you back here next Monday afternoon from 2 to 3 for another edition of Faith and Sport Live here on Carolina Catholic Radio. For myself, Dr. John Acquaviva, and Ed Billick, thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Hello, God's beloved. I'm Annabelle Mosley, author, professor of theology, and host of Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. I invite you to listen in and find inspiration along this sacred journey we're traveling together to make our lives a masterpiece and, with God's grace, become saints. Join me, Annabelle Mosley, for Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. God bless you. Remember, you're never alone. God is always with you.
We hope you enjoyed the program and will join us back for another show on WCAT Radio. This is Sebastian Mahfood. Good day.